What's up everyone, it's Manga Time. Once again I'm here to bring you my review of Bleach 609A. Sorry for the late video guys, it's going to be really late by the time this thing actually uploads, but I just had such a busy day today. So let's stop dawdling and get on with it. So it starts where we left off, as it generally does, with Yhwach getting covered in Ichimonji's ink. So he's just been slashed across the front, and it's actually far worse than it appeared to be on the end of 608. At the end of 608, he just has a very clear line across his face, but it appears as the blade hits him, the ink kind of shoots outwards and it just covers him entirely, basically. We get a couple of cool pages where ink just flies everywhere, and we get the title A. And Yhwach's basically just left standing there, and he's black from head to toe. So he's literally been covered in ink, and this basically means that he no longer has a name. And so Ichibei decides to, Ichibei decides to take the piss out of him, basically. He's just like, because you don't have a name, you're basically my servant now. And then he just kind of like that activates Bankai. And I was like, well, hold on, really? Okay, that's crazy. I mean, it's really cool that we get to see Ichibei's Bankai, but in a sense, Ichibei's Bankai is actually quite different from every other Bankai we've ever seen, in a sense. But yeah, he looks really cool in this page. It's a really awesome page, and he lifts it up like that. He lifts his sword up, and as he does it, this like white, I think it's either paint or light, but this like white substance is like flowing. It looks really cool, actually, from the tip of his sword. And that just sounds really weird. And he basically reveals that this is his Bankai, and the manga stream has it as Shinuchi Shirafude Ichimonji, which means true hit. And well, the Shirafude Shinuchi means true hit, which is I believe Ichibei's way of releasing it rather than actually saying Bankai. Because he says, you know, if you were to call it by its new terminology, it'd be known as Bankai rather than true hit. This is really weird. In the manga reader translation, this statement makes absolutely no sense, because he says, I believe the kids today are calling it Bankai. Doesn't make any sense, because I'm pretty sure Ichibei is the one who named it Bankai in the first place, so we can scrap that one entirely. This one makes a little bit more sense. He does say, you know, if we go by the new terminology, the one he invented essentially, this is his Bankai. This is like so cool though, because it means that Ichibei like had Bankai even like before Bankai was a thing. Like, how old is this dude? We desperately need a flashback. I mean, I've said that so many times now. We have to have it this time. Luckily, we get a little bit of history from him. He's like, you know, long before the concept of Bankai, these were evolved Zanpakuto essentially. So that's all this is. In comparison, he then explains what his Bankai does, Shirafude Ichimonji. It works in tandem with Ichimonji. Ichimonji's black ink gets rid of your name. Shirafude Ichimonji lets him create you a new one. So it's really OP, because he can like get rid of your power, and then he can give you basically the ability of whatever he wants, or he could probably just leave you alone, I suppose. But he paints on the word for black ant on Yhwach, basically, and he's been a bit of a dick, but that's kind of fair enough. And he basically says, you know, you used to be called Yhwach, now you're called Black Ant, so live with it. You now have the power of an ant, essentially. So he's really kind of like trying to humiliate Yhwach here, like properly trying to humiliate him. He's like, you know, you're an ant. You've got no more power than the things at your feet. You're fragile, and Yhwach's just kind of like this. Is this really it? And he's really weird actually throughout this whole chapter. He's just kind of standing there like, oh my god, is this as far as I go? We get some really nice pages, panels now of Ichibei, and he's kind of like, yep, this is as far as you go. You know, you've come so far, you've done a lot, but now you're going to carry the weight of all the Shinigami you've killed. And I like that, because Yamamoto said essentially the same thing, I think. He said, like, the pain you're feeling now isn't anything compared to the Shinigami you've murdered. So it's nice that they both kind of have this, like, they're both essentially reiterating that they're fighting for everyone, all of the Shinigami. And so Ichibei is like, you know, you'll be stomped upon like the ant you are. And I think it's quite interesting that he's using this ant terminology, this ant comparison, because I'm pretty sure earlier on he said he called Yhwach a mere human. So I think we're kind of getting this idea that Ichibei is maybe not a very nice person, and like he maybe thinks of anyone that's not a Shinigami as like an ant, essentially. Because if you remember way back, literally the very early days of Bleach, like when Renji and Byakuya first arrived, they had very different attitudes to how they have now. Like Renji, like the Shinigami used to consider humans trash, essentially. So it'd be really interesting if Ichibei still holds on to that old ideal. But we get some bloody amazing artwork here. Like there's just crazy good pictures. Ichibei like brings his foot down, and as he does it, the giant like Buddha foot appears again, and it just smashes into the pathway, completely shattering it. And it just kicks kicks Yhwach, and he goes flying. So Ichibei has essentially managed to send Yhwach straight down again. Like it seems to be what he's doing. And Haschwalth seems to notice this. This is crazy. This is the first time I've seen Haschwalth in ages. And Yhwach is just flying down, and as he's flying down, Ichibei's like farewell, and he just goes like that, and it is almost like he's swatting a fly out of the sky, essentially. As he goes like that, the Buddha hands just come and crush Yhwach, and then they let him drop, like taking a fly out of the sky. And it's all really cool, seriously awesome artwork. The choreography is great, the movement is great detail as well, and I love the imagery. I love the whole fly imagery and all this. And Yhwach, as he's falling, he's kind of like, oh man, is this really it? And then as he falls, and this bit is like majorly confusing in a way, but the manga stream one kind of cleared it up a little bit. But yeah, we see that he's like coated in black, but as he falls, he says, "It's a miracle that I managed to see this far ahead, even though my eyes were closed," or something along those lines. And as he says that, his eyes starts to kind of go like this, and it starts going really crazy back and forwards. And at first I thought he was looking around, but it's not the case, and I'll get into why in a minute. But yeah, his eye starts going mental, and all of a sudden he like destroys the platform behind Ichibei, and he comes back up, surprises Ichibei, and stabs Ichibei in the stomach with what appears to be the same reishi broadsword that he stabbed Yamamoto with, that he killed Yamamoto with. So that's really awesome, actually, and blood's like coming out of Ichibei's mouth, and but Ichibei's a total badass, so he just grabs the blade, and he's like, how the hell are you still alive? How are you still breathing? And it's really cool, actually. This scene is just really cool. It's really well done. Like, Yhwach's just coated in black, so he looks like a shadow, and he's just holding his reishi broadsword, and as he does it, like, the name Black Ant just kind of starts to wash off of him, and Ichibei's like, that's impossible. Like, how can you be losing the name that I give you? And then we get this monologue from Haschwalth, which is really kind of funny, because we see that he's still in the tree cage of life, with the other Sturmritters and the Royal Guard, so he must just be monologuing to himself at this point, which is really weird. But anyway, he's like, he starts explaining Yhwach's power, and it's quite cool that we get this narration from Haschwalth. And basically, the power of Yhwach's Shrift allows him to completely understand anything he perceives. So as soon as he has seen Ichibei's power, he knows how to beat it. Basically, I think that's his ability. Or it might even be simpler than that. It might be that as soon as he's seen it and can perceive it, he can't be defeated by it, which is immensely overpowered. But whatever, it is the main bad guy. So we see that Ichibei then tries to swing at Yhwach, but Haschwalth says it's now basically impossible for you to beat him, because that his Shrift A stands for Yhwach the Almighty, which is pretty epic. That's a pretty epic Shrift. I mean, I see might be the All-Father or something like that. The Almighty, though, is awesome. I'll definitely take that. So the fight is not over. That's the end of the chapter. It's just this awesome double-page spread of Yhwach, as it says the Almighty. The fight is not over. He's still got a bit of ink on him, but he's not, in any trouble. I think half of his Quincy Cross is still covered in ink. But, yeah, he's in no real trouble. What's really fucking weird is Yhwach now has 2 irises in each eye. If you see on the last page, he has 1 iris there, and the same on the other side, which is what was happening when his eye was going like that. It was actually splitting into 2 irises. I think it was kind of weird. It'll be interesting to see it better next week. And I don't know if this is like the start of a transformation, or if Yhwach's eyes are going to revert back to normal once he, let's face it, kills Ichibei. But to be honest, I think this is mainly just a visual representation of the Almighty, which apparently can also be translated as the All-Knowing. So we're kind of getting this feeling that Yhwach is a god. He's all-knowing, he's omnipotent, and no one can stop him, basically. That's kind of the feeling I'm starting to get. Because he's just such a beast. His shrift is so powerful. But, like I said, the fight doesn't appear to be over. Ichibei, the last we see of him, is swinging at at Yhwach, so I hope we get 1 or 2 more chapters of this fight before Ichibei inevitably bites the dust. Or is at the very least defeated, doesn't necessarily die. But, yeah, so I really think we could maybe get another chapter out of this at least, but Yhwach's pretty much got this in the bag. Now that the Almighty's come out and he can essentially just nullify Ichibei's Bankai like it's nothing. Which might be a bit OP, but, you know, at least we now have a reason, essentially, as to why Yhwach was able to so swiftly defeat Yamamoto, was because, by allowing Roy to fight Yamamoto, he was able to observe and perceive Yamamoto's ability, and therefore Yamamoto just couldn't do a thing against him. So yeah, is Ichibei going to die? I would say probably. Yeah, let's face it, Yhwach's track record of killing bald guys with beards is quite good. So, Ichibei might be in trouble. But that's kind of it for this week, guys. It was cool to see Haschwalth again. I'm really looking forward to seeing the Sturmitor again. I really want to see them again, and maybe what the other Royal Guard can do if they haven't already been defeated. I think at this point it's almost a guarantee that the Elite Sturmitor, Uryu, Haschwalth, and Yhwach are all going to the palace. They're all going, just because it doesn't make any sense, I don't think, anymore, to kill the Sturmitor off now, because they've already died and been resurrected, so it just doesn't seem any point. So Yhwach's going to defeat Ichibei. Maybe we'll get a bit of a fight between the Sturmitor and the Royal Guard before the Sturmitor win. That's what I think will happen. Other than that, though, I really have no idea. I'm just going to say it now. Ichigo doesn't stand a fucking chance. Like, he can't beat Yhwach. He just can't. I don't even know. I don't really know. I mean, like, if he can defeat Haschwalth at this point. We don't even really have any indication of Haschwalth's strength. So, I don't know, man. I'm really psyched, though. And I didn't think there was going to be a chapter this week. So, does that mean there's not one next week and the week after? Either way, just brace yourselves for some breaks, because they're coming pretty damn soon. It's a shame, but they're coming. So yeah, this fight is epic still, really cool still, but I'm thinking it might be drawing to a close soon. I'm psyched to have the story move along again. So, as for a score, I'm probably going to drop an 8 on it, just because this fight, this chapter wasn't as even, and maybe that's because we're coming to the end, which is fair enough, but although I did think the art was absolutely stellar, the art was completely stellar, I would like a bit more on Yhwach's ability, maybe. So yeah, the 8 out of 10 from me. Let me know in the comments below, guys, what you thought this week's chapter. And basically, just let me know, do you think it's over for Ichibei? Is he about to meet his demise at the hands of Yhwach the Almighty? So yeah, once again, guys, subscribe by clicking the button here. That'd be super great. I'd really appreciate your support. Your support is appreciated anyway. You guys are amazing. And give the video a thumbs up. That'd be epic. But until next week, guys. See ya.